He enjoys role playing, with him fighting pretend foes and him always winning. Who's going to do it then?
MJ, nice to see you, mate. So I was fucking in my own world then. I'm just trying to see what to put on YouTube. The old YouTube. I'm going to find you. All a video that I'm going to show you. What's his name? Brett Chamberlain. Chamberlain, not Chamberlain. So, let me just have a little look-see at this. Because I wanted to give you a little insight into dealing with coppers when they're interviewing you in police custody. Here we go. It's just like winding me up. Anyway, got it. Who else have we got? We've got MJ. Said hello. John. Dave, hello. Auditing New Zealand, very good to see you, mate. Hope you're well. Vlogging journalist, good to see you. Carrie, nice to see you. So the idea of this is, let's caveat this to start with. Let's just get a few of the little bits out of the way. I'm not a solicitor. I'm not trying to tell you that this is legal advice. It's not. It can't be considered as legal advice. This is just me giving you some very friendly, non-legal advice, what I would do in police interview. A few things before we start. When you're dealing with any kind of questioning from the police in an official capacity, I'm not talking about conversations now that could spiral. I'm talking about an official interview with the police under caution. Whenever you're talking to the coppers, you need to understand a few things. They are not there to help you. They're not there to prove your innocence. That isn't for them to do. Predominantly, what they are concerned with is getting their bosses to see them as effective police constables and higher-ups. They want to be seen as people that can get the job done. Whether that means stitching you up, whether that means trying to lead you down the garden path, it doesn't matter to them. They will only be concerned with how they look in front of other narcissists. That's what I'm trying to get at. They're narcissists. They're not there for you. They're not there to try and help you. If they say, this is an opportunity for you to give your side of the story, you know, if you don't tell us, if you go to court, it might come out that you've made this up. It's bollocks. Don't worry about that shit. It's called adverse inference. When they give you your rights, when they tell you what your rights are, and they say words to the effect of anything you say can and will be used against you in court, what they will tell you as well is if you don't give an account for why you're being accused of something, and you go no comment through all of the interview process, the jury or the judge can take what's called adverse inference from that, which means they can say to themselves, well, why, or say to you even, why was it when the questions were put to you by the police, you went no comment, but you've got an answer for us now, today. Now, again, not legal advice. This is just how I see this. For me, and I'm 7-0. I'm 7-0 against the Coppers on this. So, it's coming from some experience. To merely go no comment, I don't think is enough. To merely go no comment, I don't think is enough. If you don't know what to say, it's probably the best option. But I would start off with asking them questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and run through a little bit of a scenario with you, trying to run through, what might constitute as a bit of role play back and forth. So let's just say, for example, just for this brief bit of the intro, that you've been arrested and you've been in a cell for 6-7 hours and you've been accused of, I don't know, nicking something, nicking some money, whatever. You've been accused of that. When you go it, but you know you've not done it. You know you've not nicked anything. They've got it all wrong. But now you find yourself in a police interview room in front of 2 coppers. You've been recorded. You've been in the cell for 6 hours. You've never been arrested. You're finding it a bit too much, a bit overwhelming, which is absolutely fair. People don't like getting arrested, of course, if they're not used to that kind of process. If they don't understand the process, anything you don't understand, you're going to be fearful of. That's absolutely normal. So you find yourself in a situation where you're in an interview room and you're talking to the police. First and foremost, they will or should read you your rights again. They should tell you what your rights are. And the basics of that is anything you can say will be used against you by the police. Now, that's really important. That's really important because what they're going to do is they're going to contradict themselves after they've said that. Anything you say can and will be used against you in court, but then after that, when they start questioning you, they will contradict that. They will say, look, if you've done nothing wrong, just tell us what happened. It's best for you to tell us the truth of what happened. They're not looking for the truth. They're not. None of them are. They're not looking for the truth. Whenever you speak to a copper, they're not looking for a truth from you. They're looking for a way to connect the dots. That's all. Were you there? Have you got an alibi? And is there any evidence that you can provide by talking that will assist them in getting a charging decision from the CPS? Regards whether you've stolen something or whether you're fucking hit someone. That's what they're looking for. They're not looking for ways out for you. It's so silly to think. Don't ever think that they're trying to help you. It is never the case that they're trying to help you. That's what your solicitor's for. Now, you've got to understand the location that you will be in as well. You're in an interview room being interviewed by police. Now, the police can't give you any legal advice and they will try and steer you, whether you've got a brief with you sat next to you or not, they will try and steer you down the path of, if you just tell us what happened, you can go. You can go. If you tell us what happened and it all connects, you can go. Don't listen to this bullshit. It's knackers. It's for the birds, that. What they will do is they will give you a certain amount of rope in which to hang yourself. And it doesn't matter if you have never committed a crime in your life and you're sat there and you've done nothing wrong. It doesn't matter. What they're looking for is for you to drop yourself in it. And the only way you can do that is by rabbiting on, by fucking just going off on one. Yeah, I was there. I didn't like the person, and I've never stolen anything in my life. All this shit you will fucking want to reel off because you will want to come across as someone who's lawful. Bear Britain, mate, hello. You will want to come across as someone who's lawful. You will. And if you've done nothing wrong, you still need to choose your words carefully. Jim, on his question, do you actually have a personal life experience of this stuff? Yes, I do, mate. Yeah. Groovy baby, hello, mate. So, in terms of when the police are asking you questions, for me, if you don't know what you're doing, it's always going to be a no comment. If you want to ask questions of them, so for an example, okay, I'll give you. No, it didn't sound snarky, mate. I don't mind answering questions. So I'll go back to when I was interviewed. It's a good point. I got accused of hurting someone quite badly years and years and years and years ago. Now I knew I hadn't done it. You know, even this fucking prick, this prick deserved. Did he deserve it? That's another question. But he was a prick. He was a bully, and he was a prick, and he was a nasty piece of work. I'd had enough. Okay, I'll tell you the story. I'll tell you the story as much as I can, anyway. Years and years and years and years and years ago, back in my old life, I had an altercation with someone, and I beat him up. And I've got to be careful what I say here. Something happened. He got hurt. He got hurt, and I've got to be careful what I say. I don't know how to word this. I can't tell that story now. I'll tell you what happened in the interview room. I can't tell that story. Sorry, can't tell that. So I got arrested for something. I got arrested for eating someone. Okay. It's really hard to not go into detail with this because with what I'm trying to say to you, relates to evidence and how you have to navigate that. So they asked me. I didn't have a brief with me at the time, although I had a really good brief at the time. So when I got arrested, they said to me, because it was 3 o'clock in the morning when I got arrested, I actually stupidly went to the police station because I've been working. I went to the police station, and because they didn't arrest me there and then, so they came to my work. They said, "When you finish work, would you come to the police station and talk to us about something we need to talk to you about in your own time? You know, no issues." I went, "Yeah, no problem, no problem." Angry, hello, mate. As soon as I got in there were 2 coppers waiting. I got arrested, and I thought, "What's this?" But and when they told me of the allegation, it sort of made sense. But I bashed a few people, so it was difficult because they wouldn't give me any names. I bashed a few people, so I thought, "Fucking, it could be fucking anyone." I'm sat in cell thinking, "What the fuck's going off here?" And it was a serious charge that they brought to me, and I got into. So I was able to ring my solicitor. She was in Manchester at the time, so me and my mates used this certain firm, very good firm, and I got into interview him, and I knew I'd not done. So when they talked to me about it in interview, because she wasn't there in the first bit of the interview, and she went mental with me because I've been in without her. She went mental, but that's another story. And she went mental with them actually. But what they put to me, the guy, I'm trying to word this right, so I'm careful what I'm saying. They said, "We think you've done this, and we've got witnesses to say you've done this, and we've got like eyewitnesses to say you've done this." And I said, "Okay, well, I knew in the back of my head, I knew I had an alibi for where I was at that time. I knew I had it, so I wasn't too concerned, but I wanted to know what had happened." And when I spoke to my solicitor Karen, she said she was given like the disclosure from it. She was told what had happened, and she told me the guy's name. I remember him. I had a do with him. I'd had a big do with this guy, and a lot of people saw. And this wasn't the incident, by the way. This was a separate thing that a few notable people in the area at that time had seen me have this do with this guy, and saw him get a pasting basically, and he didn't like it. And long story short, with that, he came back with about 3 of his mates and tried to kill me. That's how it worked. Obviously, he didn't. You know, still warm my blood. But that led him to go into hiding, this guy. I can tell you, yeah, I'm trying to work this out. That led him to going into hiding. So I was looking for him, and my cousins were looking for him, and I've got a big family, and there was other people looking for him. And if I'd caught hold of him, maybe the police would have had something. If I'd got hold of him at the time, because I was really angry. I had a different mindset then. Well, sort of. And I went to see his dad. I went like the day after. I went straight round to see his dad, and his dad was a people trafficker. Just a nasty piece of work. His son was a nasty piece of work. His dad was. They were running girls in the town that I was in. Just a shitbag. This guy was he was a drug dealer. He was a wankstein. He was a fucking idiot, this guy. Anyway, his dad said he'd gone back to Ireland. His dad said, and he wasn't in the area. I couldn't find the two lads that he'd done this with. I didn't know who they were. I only knew this guy. Anyway, back to the police interview. I knew I'd not done anything wrong. Solicitor's now there. I had to wait a few more hours. I had 2 interviews at the time. Now, bearing in mind at the time I had a different missus, and I should have been back home hours ago. And I was concerned that, she's going to think, where am I? What am I doing? But long story short, with the interview, getting back to the interview process of this, I knew I'd done nothing wrong, and I knew I had a really good alibi. I knew I had an alibi for it. But what they put to me was, in the interview, the eyewitnesses that they'd had outside this fucking pub where this guy had, had an issue, let's say. The eyewitnesses said the person who had done what had happened was stocky, shaved head, tattoos, and a Birmingham accent. And this was in West Yorkshire. So, but I fit the fucking bill, don't I? Of course. So, and I still wasn't worried when they were putting this to me. And my solicitor was very, very good, like batting it away. And they told me the times of when this had happened. I was actually under a camera. I was actually under cameras more or less the whole night. I was on the doors. I was working, but I was under camera all night, and I knew this. But they'd not checked. They'd not checked any of this. And my solicitor at the time said, "Have you gathered the evidence that you need? Because my client is saying he was at this place at this time." And it took him a good. Well, I got arrested at about 4 a.m, and I didn't get out until about 3, maybe 4, 12 hours ish. I was in there. And it was a serious charge, but they had to let me go because they found the CCTV. There was about 3 cameras, and one of them wasn't even the camera that was connected to us. Saw where I was. I was arm dry. But it taught me a little bit about, well, the solicitor that I had at the time, she had a go at me. She said, "Why did you talk to him without me being there?" And she said, "What have I fucking told you? Told you and your fucking mates, don't do it." And I didn't think, because I didn't understand the process really a lot. I'd been fucking nicked before, but nothing like that. Nothing like a charge like that. Anyway, to go back to what I'm saying about being in an interview, what I've learned now is, as I've got a bit older, and I've learned from understanding the law more and understanding how the way police work. Because I just saw the police as just a hazard, like years ago, of my old life. They were just a hazard. They were just issues to do with the work I was involved in and stuff, and they were an inconvenience. But now I see them for what they are. They're fucking bullies. They're bullies. Just shitbags that fucking want to get you into trouble. I digress. So, in terms of you being in this interview situation, what you want to understand is you've got as much right to ask questions as they have. They will tell you, we're the ones doing the interview, you're the one answering the question. No, it doesn't work like that. Just because they say a thing doesn't mean it's a thing. You've got just as much right to ask You know, what evidence have you got? So one of the key things you want to do is first establish that you're not going to be talked down to in an interview. You need to set your stall out straight away. So in terms of making statements, that's really difficult, and you don't want to be led down the garden path with them either. And there's usually two people that will interview you. One will be sort of quiet, the other one will start talking. And depending on how the interview goes, sometimes it's one person, but usually it's two. Depending on how the interview goes, depends on you and how you will deal with them. Don't start being belligerent. Don't start swearing. Don't start fucking kicking off. Don't start saying, whatever you think I've done, I've done it. Don't start any of that shit. Because what it does is it messes your brain and you don't think properly. Think if you're going to answer questions, which you've got every right to do so, if you want to, just think before you speak. Just take a minute to think. And that doesn't mean you're going to be seen as being in the wrong. If you think that thinking about your answers is going to make you look bad or make you look like you're making something up, don't worry about that either. You know, if they think you're making something up, they're going to think it anyway. So, and if they say, well, why is it taking you ages to fucking answer? Just say, I choose how to answer questions myself, not you. You don't put a time limit on how I answer a question. I like to think about my answers before I answer, if I'm going to answer you at all. Pod, allow mate. A really strong statement with the police that has helped me, like since that happened, a really strong statement is if I've been accused of something, I had a fight in a fucking court once in the foyer of a fucking court, stupidly, with these lads that we had a problem with, but a full blown fucking scrap, and I got arrested, and my mate got arrested as well. So at the time, the foyer of the court. So when I say the foyer, sorry, I mean it started off in the reception bit where we was arguing, but it ended up going like outside and round the back where there was no cameras. And the security at the time didn't want us there either. They just were happy to have us out because there was no coppers there. There was just two like older security guards, and there was 5 of us fighting. Well, arguing, and then we were fighting outside. But when we got nicked, the arresting constable who did the same, who was the one who was doing the interview. I said, "What evidence have you got?" He said, "Well, the fucking security said you were arguing." I said, "Yeah, okay. Well, you've got evidence of us arguing, okay. What else?" And I said, "Well, you look like you've been in a scrap," because I did have my clothes were a bit fucked up. Just 1 second. Angry Ralph, Ed Curiosity. What would you say would work best during a police interview? No comment or just remaining silent? It's the same thing. A no comment and silence is the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. Yeah, Ross, that's probably your best bet. Just stay silent. Just make the statements of, I'm not answering any questions, so I'll just ask away and let me know when I'm done. And this is really good. That's a good point, actually. A really good, strong, well, I'm going to go back to that in a minute, but a really strong statement to the police is, let me know when you're done. Let me know when I'm free to go. When they start asking questions, if you don't know what to say or, you know, what to respond with, just say, if they ask you a question, whatever the question is, just say, can you just let me know when I'm free to go? And respond with that. And if they say, well, why do you keep saying that? Just let me know when I'm free to go. Thank you. What it does is it takes back a little bit of power for you. You're telling them at some point, because they've got to let you go at some point unless it's something really serious. But yeah, going back to this other altercation that I fucking had, I said to the copper, what evidence have you got that I've done something wrong here? And I said, well, look at you. I did have rip clothes, and my mate, we've been proper going at it with these 3 lads, my mates. And I said, well, tell me what evidence you've got, and you don't need me to help you then, do you? You don't need my help to fucking, if you've got evidence and you've got strong evidence that I've done something wrong or broken the law, take it to the CPS. That's exactly what I said. I said, take it to the CPS, get a charging decision, and then we'll take it from there. And he said, but like I told you that they say, tell us what happened. We know that you were arguing, but tell us what happened. No, I'm not telling you nothing. No, and I know for a fact that the people ain't gonna fucking tell him what happened or tell his colleagues what happened. I know for a fact they're not gonna do that. And again, walked out, just walked right out. Didn't get any fucking charge, any fine. And that was all over fucking a speeding fine as well. You couldn't make it up. Anyway, when you're in them situations, a good statement to make if you're going to make a statement to the police is, and this is a strong position if you're thinking about your no comment statement going against you. Now they call this a prepared statement. What I would put on a prepared statement, which is written down, I would state that I don't trust the investigation that the police are going to make and the questions that they're going to ask. And I would say that I want a fair hearing in a court if it comes to light that they want to charge me. And you won't be answering any questions of the police there and then, but you will be happy, more than obliging, to answer any question a judge or a prosecutor puts to you in court. What that does is it gives you a reason then in court, at least a reason. If a judge ever asks you, well, why didn't you answer the question? You can say, Your Honour, I've done a lot of research into the police. I've done a lot of research into the way the police work and the way that evidence is gathered and the way that the police try and coerce people. And I simply just don't trust the police. And that's a really fair position to be in because a lot of people don't trust the police at all. And that at least gives you a little bit of credibility in court to say, but I'm willing to answer any question you've got for me, Your Honour, and the prosecutor as well. Please ask me any questions and I will answer honestly. I think that's better than just going no comment. I know, Rush, yeah. You've got to play the game, haven't you? That's the problem. MJ, I'm 2-0 in the police interview. Arrested twice for assault whilst using self-defence, charged twice, dropped by procutorial fiscal twice. That's Scotland, isn't it? Yeah. A catastrophe of errors by the police both times. The thick, the dumb. Ross. No, because giving a no comment interview is giving an interview. I wouldn't give them a stream off my shite, steam off my shite. Yeah. Do we go back to recording the police stations again? I hope so, mate. I think that's a way forward. Yeah. I think the protest thing's done to death. I think it's a bit boring now, the protest stuff. Better with the coppers. It's better exposing them, I think. Joseph, evening, everyone. Ray has the freedom to be with us tonight to the chat. So please show your appreciation. Yeah, thank you, mate. You'll find as well, when you start being more assertive in police interview, you will get under the skin of the person who's interviewing you. They will start off friendly. They will start off saying that they're there to help you. If you've done anything wrong, you've got nothing to worry about. But the minute you start asserting some dominance back, they fucking hate it because that's not what narcissists hate, isn't it? You know, the control freak. So once they feel like they're out of control, you're fucked. They're fucked because they start doing silly things, stupid things. It's the same as me and you. If we're in an interview and we start going off on a tangent, the police are always, accusing me of all sorts. The police are always at my door. All you're doing is giving them ammunition to then ask more questions, and they'll try and lead you down the garden path again. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Just think about what you're saying to the police. Carrie, if I ever got arrested again, I'd just sit in silence. Last time they tried tripping me up and I got mad. They will do. I put a video on earlier of a copper kicking a lad he'd already grabbed hold of, and he was walking with him, just kicking him. Fucking cunt. Complete clown. You've got to understand what the police are when they're in interview as well. It's not a scary position to be in when you're sat in a police station. It's not a scary position. They are the go-between between the prosecutor and the court. They're just the go-between. Because unless you freely admit you've done something wrong, they need to charge you with something and they need good evidence to do it. They will go to the CPS with all the evidence that they've got to get a charging decision. Whether they can charge you, whether they can bail you out pending more investigation, which is usually the way they go. They will bail you out pending more investigation. They'll do 6 months. You'll return for bail. They might do another 6 months because the cunts like that. And eventually, when nothing comes up and you're not fucking playing ball, they will just say, "Okay, no further action," and you've won. And also, the CPS have a very strict guidance on what they can charge and what they can't because the police are so incompetent and they're so fucking shit at what they do. They tend to fuck up the evidence as well, or they don't put it in properly, or they miss things out, and it ruins cases. I remember watching an AB video where he got searched under Section 50 by a PC justice. Her name was, the irony. But when she took his details under Section 50, I don't know if he got arrested. Actually, he got searched. Yeah, when she took his details under Section 50. She asked for his date of birth as well, which isn't in there. And you don't have to give your date of birth on a Section 50. And that's what fucked the whole case up for the police because she didn't know what she was doing. And when she demanded the date of birth, it made the rest of the actions thereon unlawful. So everything had to be dropped. So he won sort of on a technicality. He would have won anyway because he was doing nothing wrong. But it was nice to like point out the fact that this stupid fucking idiot got it so wrong with basic legislation. Now, I'm no fucking solicitor. This is not legal advice again. But when I'm looking at stuff like this, and we can all read and we can all take in what we think is the correct terminology for the law, the correct interpretation of what you're seeing. That's for you to do. That's for you to do. Your own interpretation of what's right and wrong in the law, that's for you. I can't tell you that something's right or something's wrong. Can I tell you what I think that the way it would go? Pod, okay, 3. But not for for them and not for me. Exactly. Yeah. So in interview as well, you might get very aggressive interviewers. You might get people who are really giving it to you. You know, you've done this, and we know you've done it. We've got evidence for it. Just keep saying, show me the evidence. In fact, don't show me. Take it to the CPS. I implore you, take it to the CPS. Get them to charge me, and we'll see each other in court. What they're trying to do by having you interview is intimidate, because everything the police do is it's performative. From the minute they rock up, touching their radios, looking like they're going to fucking jump you, from the minute they turn up, they're putting out their fucking notebooks. They're looking you up and down. They're saying, things like, "We don't want you to leave, but we're not deterring you." All this kind of shit. It's all performative. All performative. To the point where they put you in handcuffs. That's performative because they want you to feel intimidation, and the performance is about intimidation. Can they push you to a point where you just start spilling your guts? Can they do that? Can they get a normal member of the public to start spilling their guts and giving you limited fucking information about what they think you've done, all this shit? Can they get you into the police car? Can they get you to the police station? Can they have you stewing in a police cell for 12 hours thinking, fucking hell, what have I done? What have I done? What have I done? Oh, fucking hell, have I done this? Have I done that? Is it about this? Is it about that? That's what they want. When all they've really got is you to rely on for them to get a better outcome when they go to the CPS. And it's all about the CPS and it's all about the judge. Even if you got charged with something, it's then nothing to do with the CPS, really. It's all about the judge, And again, I don't advocate fucking criminals, fucking hell. Absolutely not, of course. Any advice I'll give is not for criminals. Not. It's for people that find themselves in a bad situation with bad people in front of them, i.e. the police, because they're bad. There's no arguing that anymore. There's no arguing that the police are a bad entity within the UK. It's a shame because we need them. We need a police force. We 100% need a police force, I believe. I know other people, think we don't, but I think there'd be anarchy on the streets if not. MJ, an interview is like a game of chess. You must think before you move. 100%. 100%. Because most people, they get to it, they get into an interview and they think, I want to get out of here. I've been in the police station now for like 10 hours. I want to get out of here. I want to get out of here. What can I say to make them let me go? When the truth is, you've been there for 10 hours. Let's say you've been there for 10 hours. Let's say you've been there for 14 hours. And now they're just about to fucking interview you. You want to be out there as fast as you can. No one wants to be fucking stuck in a police station. But you may as well stick it out. You might as well stick it out and see what they've got. Because can only keep it for 24 hours if it's something that's not serious. If it's serious, it's got to be really serious. They've got to give you, they've got to give their upper command notice of this, and they've got to get clearance to do that. But that's only for like really, really bad stuff, So in terms of the police with that, I won't worry too much. And they'll keep asking you the same questions, and what they'll do is they will try and shotgun questions at you as well. So they'll do what's called a round robin. They will lead it back to the first question that they asked you. So if they want to know where your location was at a certain time on a certain date, and you've been a bit sketchy with that, or you've just gone, I was here, but I can't prove it. They'll ask you a few more questions, get your mind off it, and then they'll come back to it, and then they will say, right, where did you say you was again at this time? And you might blurt out something that you shouldn't blurt out. You've got to be consistent, and you've got to know. So my ex-solicitor, she used to say, keep your fucking lip zipped. Shut the fuck up. If you are not strong in like your resolve of you know exactly where you're going with stuff, shut the fuck up. You shouldn't be talking at all. You wait for me, or you wait for there's another guy with her. And you wait for us. Duty solicitors, you'll be offered a solicitor and there'll be a list. It won't be a massive list, it'll be like 5 or 6 solicitors that you can call that will send someone out to you. And they might be from the next town, or they might be from the next city, or they might be from the same town, or whatever. I would always recommend trying to seek some legal advice, but you've got to understand with the duty solicitors, and Crime Bodger said this, and I completely agree. The duty solicitors are in and out of them stations non-fucking stop, all day, every day. And that's how they make their money. They're on about £100 an hour. And every time they get called out, it's another fucking 100 quid in the pocket, maybe 200 quid nowadays. And they're making money hand over fist. They love just going in. Because all they're doing is they're telling you the bare minimum of what they need to tell you. They will tell you to go no comment predominantly. They will say, just say this to this and this to this, and I'll be writing everything down, and if you need any more help. Because 9 times out of 10, the people they help are not able to get the right kind of solicitor, and a decent solicitor, if that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I've never used a duty. I've never used a duty. I wouldn't. If say one of my kids got fucking arrested for whatever, there'd be no duty solicitor. We get a decent fucking brief. What else can I say about this? I'll tell you what. We'll go through. Let's go with this. So this is a guy called Brett Chamberlain. I spoke to Brett on the phone. He's a really good guy. I really like him. I think he's a good egg. Very nice guy. So what happened to Brett? This is the guy. So what happened to this guy is he liked auditing. He liked going around doing stuff. He did a lot of stuff with commemorative coins and exercising rights and stuff like that. I really like Brett. But he found himself in an altercation at the petrol station where they didn't want to accept the coin. I think it was a £20 coin or a £100 coin or whatever, a rare commemorative coin. And he didn't want to pay any other way because it's legal tender and he had every right to pay with that money because it would become a debt when you took the petrol out and put it into your tank. You're no longer just buying a Mars bar where they can refuse, they can refuse you. Once it's measured at the pump, it then becomes yours. So you owe the person then a debt, which, without going into massive legal detail, they can only enforce that debt if you're not willing to pay. But because he was willing to pay with coins of the realm, which is, clear, real, legal money that's been mandated by the Queen herself at the time, if they refuse that, it negates the debt. They can't then pick and choose what kind of how we would pay, whether it's on a credit card, whether it's with pound coins, £20 notes. If he's offered the money, they've got to accept it. If not, fuck him. There's no more debt, and that's the legal loophole he was using. Now there was a sergeant that arrested him for what's called bilking. The sergeant came along, had a 20-minute conversation with him, didn't want to listen, was a complete fucking moron, and said, look, we're getting nowhere with this. Are you going to go in and pay or fill in a no means to pay form? A no means to pay form is a contractual piece of paperwork that the petrol stations would give you if you can't pay for your fuel, if you forget your wallet, if you thought you had some money in the bank and you tried to pay on your card and you didn't. They will give you 7 days to come back with the money because it's a debt, which is fair enough. But he did have the money. He did have it. And he also, yes, Stuart, mate, he also had a letter from Tesco's saying that they accept the coins he was offering. But for some reason, the people in the petrol station didn't want to know. They said, no, we're making the decision here. You've not paid, and if you drive off, call on the police. Police came, this guy, this sergeant, caused a fucking made a nuisance of himself, and basically said to Brett, look, if you don't pay or fill in the no means to pay form, I'm going to arrest you for bilking. Even though he didn't even make off, he was still talking to him, which would have been unlawful in and of itself. So he ended up getting arrested. And this is the interview process. I will spin on. There we go. So this is the interview. Now, Brett is a very smart guy, and this is what happened.
With pebbles and everything. You get kingfishers flying by and things. Beautiful place. All right. Anyway, all the best, and I'll see you on the next video.
Any further, I am going to caution you, so you do not have to say anything that may harm your defence if you do not mention.
And the irony, this guy's called Sergeant Ben Rimmer Atwood. Rimmer, fucking dickhead.
When questioned, something on which you later rely on the court, and if you do so, maybe give any evidence. Just to ensure that you do understand the caution, I'm going to break it down into 3 parts.
So just before we get into this, I want you to look at the room. I want you to look at the way it's laid out. It's very basic. There's only a few things in there. The seats are never comfortable. They're never comfortable seating. These will probably be seats that have fucking been bolted into the fucking ground or whatever. A desk. You've got a guy in front of you that's got a uniform on, and he's got a very good solicitor next to him. I believe this is Ian Gold. I believe the solicitor is Ian Gold. Could be wrong on that, but this list is very good anyway.
The first part is fairly self-explanatory. You do not have to say anything. If you wish to sit there in complete silence, that is entirely up to you. Yeah. As I mentioned earlier, this is being recorded on tape digital recording, and there are a couple of cameras there. It does help us get along. If you don't want to say anything, if you reply no comment, just so I know at least you've heard.
So what he's just said there, it does help us get along if you reply no comment. Now, he shouldn't be directing the answers that Brett may or may not give. Shouldn't be directing that. If Brett doesn't want to answer a question, he doesn't have to say no comment. He doesn't. And I don't know, I mean, this is just me thinking out loud here. I don't know if that would go against you really in court. The fact that this cop has said to him that he wants him to say no comment, that might go in your favour if you say no comment. All you've got to say is, well, Your Honour, he said if I've got nothing to say no comment. I don't know how that would work actually.
Okay. The second part, anything that you do say may be given in evidence. As you understand, we are recording this interview. It may be at some point further down the line we find ourselves in court, and the court.
I like how Brett isn't really listening. He's looking at the tape machine. He's looking at the recorder, like just seeing how it works. do you know what I mean? I would ask for a bag of peanuts. Every time I'm asked a question, I'm chewing on a nut and saying nothing.
Can be played a copy of this interview, or sometimes what happens is a transcript of the interview is given in court. Okay. The final part, it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned something on which you later rely on in court. Basically,
let's just hear that again. Because that's important. That.
Okay. The second part, anything that you do say may be given in evidence. As you understand, we are recording this interview. It may be at some point further down the line we find ourselves in court, and the court can be played a copy of this interview, or sometimes what happens is a transcript of the interview is given in court. Okay. The final part, it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned something on which you later rely on in court.
That's the important bit there. That's why I said making this making a statement before you even start, just saying, look, I don't trust the process. I don't think I'm going to get a fair hearing in here. This isn't a court. This is not going to, I don't believe this is going to benefit me in the slightest, talking to the police. And you can list off everything that you don't like about the police and put it on and just say, look, don't trust the police, basically don't trust them, but I'm willing to talk to a judge, willing to talk to a prosecutor about anything that they may ask. I have answers, but I just don't want to talk to the police. I think that's fair. And I could be wrong with that, but I think that's a fair pre-statement.
Basically, is where we're explaining to you that it's your chance to answer questions that we put to you. And if you choose not to answer those questions, then the court may draw what's called inference from that.
No, adverse inference.
So, for example, if you choose not to answer a question and the court then sit there and think, well, why didn't you answer that question? And they can draw an inference from that.
Yeah, I can draw an adverse inference from that. What it is the court, the jury or the judge will wonder why you're now talking. And if you haven't said something to begin with in interview, just saying, look, I don't trust police, don't trust that I'm going to get a fair crack of the whip here. I think you're malicious, the bloke who arrested me. I don't think you want me to give you my answers. I'm going to wait for someone who I can trust. Now, obviously, you can't trust the judges. Of course you can't. They're fucking useless. But it at least gives you a little bit of leeway and a little bit to argue in court. Because if the judge says to you, well, why didn't you talk in interview? Then if this is the case now and you're telling me this X, Y, and Z happened, why didn't you say that in interview? You can say, well, my prepared statement, Your Honour, says it all. I simply don't trust the police. It's a process that I don't think is going to help me. We're in court now. Yeah, I didn't say anything and we're in court now. Can you imagine if I had have said something and the guy that arrested me would have tried to spin it? I'm not going to take that risk, but I'm willing to go to court. I'm willing to talk to you. I'm willing to talk to the prosecutor. No problem. I think that works. Secret squirrel. See, well, if the court says, why didn't you answer the question? I could say I was busy eating my nuts, Your Honour.
Okay, I wonder, well, why didn't you just answer the question? Right. Okay. So you have the right to free and independent legal advice. You have Mr. Overend here, are you happy that you've had sufficient
That's not in gold.
chance to talk to Mr. Overend? Okay. Please remember that at any point during this interview, if you feel you want further legal advice, we can stop this recording. You can speak to him again in confidence, and then we can carry on. So that's your on.
And don't ever be fooled into thinking that if you do that, that you look guilty. During any point of the questioning, you are entitled to legal advice at any point in any interview. And they will have to stop the recording. You'll get your legal advice and you can come back into interview. Don't ever think that that's going to make you look bad. They might make it seem like it does. They might give you like funny looks and make it look like, oh, right, we've got him now because he's now asking for more legal advice. Don't worry about that.
Going right while you're here.
Okay. Can I get a copy of this recording then for my own personal use?
This will explain to you what you can and can't do with it and so on.
Yeah.
You can do what the fuck you want with it. It's your image. Now, the problem is with this. I say you can do anything you want, but no, you can't. That's not correct. You would have to redact his face. You would have to redact Rimmer's face here. It's quite specific what you can do with it, actually. It's not just that you can and can't. You can do what you want with it. There is some guidance with it, but it is your image, essentially. And it's been made available to you. And if you want to make that public, you can. You can put it onto your YouTube channel. You're allowed to.
I think you can always use...
As long as it doesn't prejudice an ongoing case. I think that's the crux of it.
To be the case, you could only apply for a copy if you were charged.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's right now. I think
What
you
if I
can
need it in
apply.
evidence?
Okay, so
Yeah,
if
you
you
can
are,
apply.
I will just read to you what happens, what it says on here. If you are not charged or not reported for prosecution and you require access to the digital interview recording, you must complete a subject access form. Okay, so you can make a request to Devon and Cornwall
Denise,
Police.
allow that.
Did you have your little camera on when we...
Yes.
So I can get a copy of that as well?
You can make an application for a copy again.
So what he's saying there is, it's a very straightforward question. And the answer should be absolutely you can, Mr. Chamberlain. Absolutely you can get a copy of the camera. You can make a request. That's not to say you're going to get it. Yeah, he was lucky to get a copy of this, Joe.
Can't guarantee what the outcome of that will be, but you can apply for a copy of that. Okay. Right. Okay. So we talked about your legal advice. We've explained the caution to you. Okay. With regards to significant statements, during the time that you were being booked into the custody sergeant when we arrived at custody, you made a comment.
So this is really important as well. As soon as you get arrested, well, not even as soon as you get arrested, as soon as you start talking to the police, they will use anything against you. This is why interviews are fucked. Because what they will say is they will get you into an interview room and say, this is for you, this is... If you have done nothing wrong, tell us. Tell us you've done nothing wrong. Tell us your side of the events, and that will help you. No, it won't. As soon as you start talking to the police, whether you've been given your caution, if you've been read your rights or whatever, as soon as you start talking to them, that first initial hello, they are looking for something to fuck you up with. Always have that in your head. SG, hello, mate.
With words to the effect, and I didn't write it down at the time, however, I will go back and get the recording, that this has happened, I've done this several times, and it's never got this far. When we were talking about you paying with the coins at the garage, what did you mean by that statement?
This is why you never talk to the police. This is why you never start any kind of conversation with them. It's never a conversation. When you start making statements outside of the parameters of what you think is, well, if you think it's a fairly benign statement, you know, they're going to use it against you.
Well, in the same way as when you go shopping, you pay for your goods. I've paid for the goods many times before like this.
Like this, as in with
those
£100
coins. In fact, I've spent thousands of pounds at Tesco, Tiverton, in the petrol station using those coins.
Okay.
Which is why it's ridiculous that you've arrested me for it.
It was absolutely mental that this guy arrested Brett for this. It was shocking.
Obviously, if I go quiet from time to time through the interview, you can see that I'm writing and making notes, or I may just be thinking. Okay.
I may just be thinking, and this is exactly what you need to be doing. If you're in this situation, don't worry about going quiet. If they ask you a question that you do want to answer, think about it. Think about your answer first. Don't and talk slowly as well. Don't blurt stuff out. Talk slow. And if you want to stop in between in a sentence, stop. If you think what you're about to say is going to incriminate you in any way, just stop. SG, you should see the interviews of the Hampstead Satanic Cult kids. Oh God, I don't think I've done to this one. Direct Joseph.
Okay, so as you know, you were arrested by myself at Russell Way Tesco filling station at about 5:15 this afternoon on suspicion of bilking, which is not a word you were familiar with before. It's making off without payment.
I didn't make off.
Okay, in my case, I suspected you were about to make off.
But he didn't make off, and bilking's very specific. It's making off without payment. Leaving the forecourt of a petrol station, leaving a restaurant without paying, that's bilking. And he didn't do that. He was still talking to the copper, sat in his car on the forecourt. This copper just didn't know what to do with him.
Without payment. I'm not going to discuss points of law with you today.
I'm just going to rewind what he's just said there, which is, again, mental.
In my case, I suspected you were about to make off without
Listen.
payment. I'm not going to discuss points of law with you today, and I'm also not going to discuss the disagreement that we might have about the necessity for arrest. But what I would...
Just because he says that doesn't mean that you can't discuss it with him. It's insanity that they think they can dictate the pace and the subject matter of an interview that you're part of. You have every right to say, hang on a minute, mate. You've just arrested me, so we are going to fucking discuss points of law, and we are going to discuss what you should and shouldn't have done and why you shouldn't have arrested me, and it's going to be on record. You're not... What they try and do is they try and make it so that they're in charge of everything. If they can make you just as... What Focus Pocus calls it this. If they can make you a supplicant, they will. And if they feel like it's going to be easy to do that, happy days for them. But the problem is, they're fucking thick. They're really fucking dumb, these people. And it seems like the higher these cunts go in the police, whether it's sergeant, inspector, they get thicker. Their IQ goes lower. You know, even if that's even possible.
like from you is an account as to what happened when you went to Tesco's today, please.
We don't want to discuss points of law, but I thought that's what policing was all about.
No, my job here is to simply collect as much evidence as I can, and I will...
Did you just hear what he just said? Brett just said, what, you've arrested me, you don't want to discuss points of law? And he's just come back with, this copper's just come back with, oh, I'll play it. Listen to what he says, just listen.
From you is an account as to what happened when you went to Tesco's today, please.
Listen to this.
We don't want to discuss points of law, but I thought that's what policing was all about.
No, my job here is to simply collect as much evidence as I can, and I will then take this evidence to an independent person who is separate from the investigation. Obviously, I'm involved in the investigation, and that person will then make a decision as to whether any further action is...
So he's either talking about an inspector who will then authorise it to go to a CPS decision maker. But that's really interesting what he just said. He said, I'm here to get all the evidence I can, not to prove that you were not doing anything wrong, to prove that you were guilty. And that's every single time you're in a police station. They're there to try and prove your guilt, not the opposite way around. It's weird as fuck. MJ, know the law because coppers don't pod. We all know the little corporal from, 100%. I wasn't aware that the police were so thick until some years ago. 100%, mate, 100%. Squirrel, that's the kind of sergeant that if I flicked a peanut at him, he would do me for grievous bodily harm. Joseph, his job is to uphold the law over everything else. Yeah.
So my reason for being here and wanting to speak to you is simply to get your side of the story.
Right.
Okay.
The biggest lie the police will ever tell you is, we just want your side of the story. The biggest lie the police will ever tell you. That's the biggest thing that they will tell you. We just want your side of the story. If they just wanted your side of the story, you wouldn't be arrested. They would say, can you write a statement out and drop it off? Or just, tell us where at the incident where it took place. Once you get into police interview, they're looking to charge you, 100%.
So what are you trying to do? Get me to incriminate myself in some way?
Yes, exactly that, Brett. He's trying to get you to incriminate yourself.
I'm asking you what happened when you went to Tesco's today.
Well, I filled up with diesel.
Okay.
He knows what happened when he went to Tesco's today because he was there with him for 20 minutes and he had Brett say what happened and he spoke to the person that was inside. Brett was trying to pay with legal tender. And this copper, because he doesn't know the law and the guy in the shop was just being a cunt, they didn't want to know. And then they tried to cause a problem for him.
That was £60?
£60.
Okay, cool.
Exactly.
Yep.
I went into the store and I made my payment with my coin, which is one made by Royal Mint. It's legal tender and is fit for payment, and it's been accepted by Tesco as a legitimate form of payment many times in the past.
That's true, Giles.
So what happened then?
Well, they said they're not sure whether they can accept that coin and they would have to get a manager over. So the manager came over and had a look at it and Googled it and formed his opinion on either what he'd seen on eBay or on Google, it seems to me. And then said that they weren't prepared to accept it and and that I'd have to fill out a no means to pay document, which
is legally binding. They wanted Brett to fill out a no means to pay document when he had means to pay. They wanted him to falsify his name on a statement to say he didn't have means to pay when he did. And the copper tried to get him to do it as well. For me, that's a Section 26. It's misconduct, isn't it? It's got to be. It's got to be.
I said I'm not filling out a no means to pay document because I have got the means to pay. So he said that if I don't fill out the no means to pay document or pay in some other way, then they'll phone the police.
So this, and I just want to tell you this, and I think it's important to point out this. If you look at the way Brett is sitting, and you hear the tone of his voice, and you hear the pace that he's talking at, this is really important. This he could have gone no comment and still got the right outcome. He could, 100%. But he didn't. He chose to talk, and he chose to choose his words carefully, and he chose to ask questions, and he made it so that he was calm in that situation. You've got to be calm in these situations, or you'll start coming out with some right shit, and you'll get yourself into trouble. And that's what they want. Secret Squirrel, I thought the precedent was already set in court about being legal to use collectors' coins. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And so I said, okay, I'll wait until the police arrive then. So I waited until you arrived because I had no intention of bilking, as you put it, making off that payment. I waited there until you came because I thought that you, being an officer of the law, would have some sort of common sense and would be able to explain to them that it might be an unusual coin, but it is a legitimate means of payment. And I didn't necessarily expect that you would know that because obviously I don't know you and I don't know what your knowledge is on that sort of subject, but I kind of did expect that you might radio up to the station and just check whether it was a legitimate form of payment or not.
So that's a fair series of comments from Brett. Yeah, it's a fair point, isn't it? He didn't necessarily think the cop would know about this because it isn't something that they probably come across every day. But a diligent cop would say, do you know what, I don't know, but I'm going to find out whether this is right or wrong. But he didn't do that. He just jumped. He just jumped and arrested him because he got pissed off. He wanted compliance and Brett wasn't going to give it. And again, the pacing of what Brett is saying, the pacing of the conversation here is really important. Don't start blurting shit out. Brett's really calm in this situation. He's really slow at answering, and he's really concise. And he's not answering too much. He's not giving loads of information out. He's giving the basics. He's giving like just an overview.
But you would have also thought that Tesco, having accepted that they are a legitimate form of payment, would have told all the petrol stations that you can accept those coins because they're a legitimate form of payment. That's basically it. I mean, you arrested me unlawfully, in my opinion. Stuck me in a cell, gave me salt and vinegar crisps, which I don't like.
Give him salt and vinegar crisps, which you didn't like. Another thing, and this is just a personal preference, you may think differently, you might be okay with it. Whenever I've been nicked, I have never accepted anything from them. Water, food, a drink, whatever. Never accepted anything. It's just a personal preference. I don't want anything from them.
But treated me genuinely very well, I must say. But it just seems ridiculous that I've been arrested for using Queen's money. It seems that you're policing for corporations rather than the public. I can't believe that you would spend the whole evening, the whole shift on this subject. It's ridiculous. It's a waste of police time.
Now, when you start hearing this Sergeant Rimmer talk, and the way he thinks about the public, and the way he tries to tell Brett in a minute how, this is all his fault, basically, and he could have gone home with a full tank of fuel and not had any issues if he'd have just complied. This tells you everything you need to know about policing, that they're just fucking wankers, and they think they've got a right to tell you what to do 24/7, and how you can live your life. If it was up to them, you would have to phone them as soon as you wake up in the morning, ask for permission to do X, Y, and Z, and then check in with them every couple of hours. Is it okay for this? Is it okay for that? That's what this guy wants.
I would never have phoned the police over something so ridiculous as this. Don't you think it's about time at Tesco and knew what was a legitimate form of payment or not? It just seems to be so ambiguous as to what is a legitimate form of payment or not to them.
I would add here after that, and you should know the fucking law. You should know the law. And if you don't know the law, you should find out before you start arresting people. Brett's a really nice guy. I spoke to Brett for about an hour once on the phone. We had a good chat about all sorts of stuff. But he's a really nice guy. In this situation, he's a really nice guy. In the situations you find him in on YouTube, I will put something in the link to this video to point you to his channel because he's great. But I'm a cunt. I would put this all every time I speak. If I'm speaking to the copper, I'm pointing back on him. You're the reason I'm sitting here. You're the reason I'm sat here, and I'm wasting my time. You're wasting my time. You shouldn't have arrested me. And you know that. I would always keep emphasising that.
Well, I can't see that I've committed any offence whatsoever.
If not,
So tell me what you expected to happen when you went to Tesco's today.
Well,
what do you think? What the fuck do you think he expected to happen? Pay for his petrol and fucking leave after 5 minutes or less than 5 minutes? Not have Arnold J. fucking Rimmer rock up in his fucking cop car and tell him, if you don't pay the way I want you to pay, or the way they want you to pay, you're going to get nicked. That probably wasn't on his fucking list of things to do that day.
time I go to Tesco's in Tiverton, they just accept payment and give me my change. Well, I don't understand why you think it's so unusual that if you pay with cash, that you should get arrested for bilking, as you put it.
So when was the last time you went to Tesco's in Tiverton?
Doesn't matter. When they start asking you questions that you even suspect that are trying to lead you down a fucking garden path, which is what this is now. When was the last time you went to Tesco's in Tiverton? Nothing to do with what's happened today. I won't be answering any of them fucking questions. Rimmer was a sergeant. Stu, yeah, sergeant.
Used £100 coin as payment.
Well, I do it 2 or 3 times a week. Simple phone call to them would establish that they accept those coins.
Now, just to make you aware, before Brett got arrested, just before, he said to the copper, he said, look, I know you're reaching to arrest me here. If you arrest me, I've got an ice up my sleeve. And if you arrest me, I'll pull that ice out and you're going to look really fucking stupid. So just bear that in mind. Correct, then, Jack.
So you've arrested me based on the opinion of some Tesco's employee.
And this is good what Brett's doing now. He's putting the emphasis back on the copper. You've arrested me here. You're the one that's locked me up. You're the one that's kept me in a cell. You're the one that's got me an interview. You. All the bad decisions around here are you.
Because of his ignorance of those coins. But I've never seen a coin like that. If only the police can have him arrested. And you automatically took their side rather than establishing the facts and the legality.
Correct.
Of it.
And that's what the police are there for. They're a goal between the public and the courts. They're there to establish fact, and they're there to gather good, solid, credible evidence that you've done something wrong. And without you taking part in that, they can't. That's why they get so frustrated when they meet someone who knows the law or who goes no comment. You see on these, these police fucking shows that come on, whether to catch a killer and all this shit. You see how fucking angry they get and how frustrated they get when they get someone in front of them that just isn't playing ball. Oh, he's gone no comment. It's going to make it harder for us, this. Well, if you've got credible evidence, take it to the CPS. See what they say.
That's what I'm here to do now. That's why we're having this conversation. So
that's not why he's here now at all. He's there because you thought he was going to fucking spill his guts and say something stupid to you. That's what you thought. But you're not dealing with an idiot. You're not dealing with a fucking one of your family members.
I can understand the facts from you. So why, if you tell me about the letter that you had from Tesco's.
So, in the end of December last year, I went into Tesco, filled up fuel in Tiverton, and offered £100 coin. They refused to accept it, and the police were called. The police seized the coin, and they subsequently sent it off to the Royal Mint to establish whether it was genuine. The Royal Mint established it was genuine.
That's true, Ross. That's true.
The police contacted me and said, that's genuine coin, come and collect it. Then they're not pursuing it, there's no case to answer or whatever. Meanwhile, I spoke to Trading Standards and said that it's a breach of contract. The agreement is that I take the fuel and then they accept the payment. And they refused to accept the payment. So Trading Standards suggested that I write a letter of complaint and send it reported delivery to Tesco head office.
Which you did.
So I did that, and Tesco wrote a letter back saying that they do accept those coins. And I've shown you a copy of that and sent you a copy of it.
Okay.
Which basically, once this fucking copper saw this letter, pissed on his chips, because he then... I mean, he knew he shouldn't have arrested him, but he doubled down on fucking stupidity, which they all fucking do. And they can't seem to go back and take a step back and think, you know what, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to get myself into trouble here. And there's nothing wrong with getting it wrong if you admit it there and then. Rimmer's arse just dropped after that communique. Checkmate, yeah.
So once that was established, Tesco's, Tiverton, there's no problem accepting any of those coins that I showed you that you seized off me.
So today you have gone to Tesco's in Russell Way.
Yep.
From previous experience, you know that Tesco's in Tiverton, when they had initially come across this, had refused to accept the coin.
Irrelevant. That and he's never said that his previous experiences said that they refused to accept the coin. He's never once said that. This is words now being put into his mouth.
Why did you not go into the desk, the cash desk, before you drew the fuel to check that they would accept the payment?
Because you don't have to babysit members of the public in a job where they should know what they're doing. It is not for other people to babysit other members of the public to make sure they know their job. And especially coppers that then turn up and just don't like the fact they're being filmed. I believe that was one of the reasons he got nicked as well, because he could see that it was being filmed. Because police hate cameras, of course.
Because I don't have to, do I? There's no agreement on the pump. It says, no, there's no agreement to go and do that on the pump. On the pump, it says, pay cashier, take fuel. And then having taken the fuel, it said pay cashier, which is the contract, the agreement. So I went into the checkout and paid the cashier with the legally specific form of payment that they can't refuse. Like I said to you.
Well, they can refuse it. They can refuse it, but they can't force you to do anything else after that. They can't force your details. They can't force you to pay in any other means. So it's catch-22 for them. They can't force you to give your name, address. What they can do, and it won't work, but what they can do is take your reg, your drive away, and then pursue you through the police then maybe, or whatever kind of information they can get through your reg. I know that there's about 30 different bodies now that can look at the PNC. And then they can try and prosecute you personally or try and chase the debt through civil means. But they wouldn't get anywhere because it would have to go to court. They wouldn't get anywhere because if you'd already told them that you're willing to pay for it and you've got evidence, you've been videoing it, that you've gone in with it, coins that are legal tender, whether they're rare coins or not, they are legal tender to be used for payment. There is no, well, that's. I was just about to say there's no such thing as coins or notes that aren't legal tender, but actually in England, Scottish notes aren't actually classed as legal tender. They're not. You can use them and they accept them because they can get changed, but specifically they're not classed as legal tender.
Earlier on, they don't have to accept Scottish notes because they're not legal tender in
England. Yeah. This is where I learnt it.
They're not illegal tender in Scotland, in fact. They don't have to accept them, but they do. Or some branches do, I think. But with those coins, they do have to accept them.
That's technically not right. They don't have to accept them, but it's in their interest to accept them.
They don't have to accept them in the main store in purchase of goods for the same reason as that they don't have to serve you. So if you went in there without a shirt on, for example, they could say, we refuse to serve you, we don't have to serve you.
That's true.
And that's the same basis on which they don't have to accept the coins prior to the transaction taking place. But it would be a similar case of...
That's the wrong, that's true.
You know, I don't know, I haven't thought this through properly, but like, if you filled up your car with diesel, right, and then you went in to pay and you didn't have a shirt on, and they said, oh, we won't serve you and you've got a shirt on, that's not a means of refusing payment, is it? That's not reasonable to refuse payment.
To go back to my question, why did you not feel the need to go in and speak to them first if you knew?
This is irrelevant stuff now. What he's trying to do is he's trying to paint Brett as someone who's trying to cause issues and trying to cause trouble. Why did you not go in before you drawn the fuel out and tell them that you're going to be paying with these special coins or these, unique coins for the same reason no one else does. For the same reason, if you're paying with a credit card, you don't go into the petrol station and say, just by the way, I'm paying with this card today. They'll laugh at you. Companies operate in this country under the financial framework that we have, and they adhere to it. And if they don't, they can't operate. And part of that framework is they will either accept cash or card or bank transfer or whatever, but they've got to operate within the framework that we've got. And these Tesco people, they do, but some staff are thick, and there's even thicker coppers, and he's one of them. Fred, good to see you, mate.
From experience that there may be a problem.
Because I've already established with Tesco's head office that they'll accept those coins. I don't need to. It's their responsibility to contact all of their branches and tell them that which coins are legal tender in the UK.
But you still know that there might be some issues, because you've just spoken to me about Scottish pound notes, and you have just, when we've spoken about Tesco's and Scottish pound notes, and you've just used the exact words some branches do, which suggests to me that you know full well that just because one branch of Tesco's will do one thing, another branch of Tesco's won't do.
So what the copper now are doing is he's trying to make out that he's going to cause issues, and he's got no evidence of that whatsoever, because he's already been given clear evidence that he's used these coins many times before and had no issues whatsoever. But it's only certain stores that have this issue. When the blanket explanation, the blanket rule for Tesco's is they do accept the coins. That's it. And he's got a letter to say so.
That thing. So you foresaw that there may be an issue. Why did you not choose to go and discuss it with him?
Because it's not his responsibility to give guidance and training to the staff of Tesco. And what this copper's trying to do now is paint Brett to be a problem, that he's doing this on purpose. And I don't think he mentions it here, but I believe he was trying to make it so that he could maybe trump up some kind of charge, like a Section 50, some kind of antisocial behaviour. Why would you do that to ruin, the day of the employees or whatever, or cause issue to employees? I think that's the route he was trying to go down here. But Brett's very knowledgeable, and he doesn't fall for it.
Before you drew fuel?
Well, I don't need to discuss what types of payment they accept before I draw fuel. It's already established in law what's an acceptable form of payment.
So I think the distinction you're trying to draw is that, regardless of whether you should have, shouldn't have gone and checked, but as a matter of law, your position on that. Sorry.
And if you remember earlier on, old Arnold J here didn't want to discuss points of law, and this is why. Because his whole arrest now falls down, because the law states that these coins are eligible for payment for fuel, for anything. Now, it doesn't mean that a shop has to let you buy your groceries with it or whatever. They can refuse, but they can refuse normal money as well. They can refuse your card. They can refuse anything. But there's certain little loopholes where you can get away with it. You're not even getting away with anything. You're just using coins normally.
You didn't want to mention law, but Scottish tender isn't necessarily legal tender.
It is legal tender.
Whereas the coins that you used, you say you checked and are
Legal tender. So
I'm not arguing that point. I'm not arguing the law point. I'm simply raising the point, is if you foresaw, and I put it...
So this is irrelevant now. If he's not arguing the law point, why is he sat in a police custody suite, police custody interview room? Why? If he's not arguing points of law, this whole interview is irrelevant then. Because if he knows he's not broken the law, he should let him go.
You that you did foresee, because you previously had issues with this.
yeah, but I've ironed it out. So
That there may be an issue. Why did you not feel the need to go and do that before you drew the fuel?
Do you remember what I said about round robin questions? He's asked this 3 times now. So he's asked a couple of questions in between. He's gone back to this issue of, why didn't you go in and tell them what you wanted to pay with this legal tender that you say that you've had no issues with? He's asked him that 3 times, and he's trying to get a different answer, because the answer that Brett's giving is totally legitimate and totally lawful. And that's what the crux of this. This copper's trying to get him to say something that he shouldn't say. And this is why understanding police interview is really, really important.
Because I've got a letter from head office saying that they accept those coins.
Okay, so with that letter from head office, I spent quite a long time talking to you at the petrol pump. Okay, and we discussed all sorts of points of law, and I'm not going to go down that road again, as I keep saying.
No, because you know he shouldn't be sat there, because points of law are what's important here. There's three things that are important here: law and policy for the copper, and law for Brett. And I got that from Falcus Palcus, one of his videos. That's really a salient point that he brought up with the copper once. There's 2 points that he needs to check himself on this copper: law and policy. He's gone against the law by arresting him because he didn't have grounds. And the policies and the procedures that he should have gone down and should have checked off, which is due diligence, making sure he knows the law before he arrests someone. That's really important as well. Brett has not in any way, shape or form broken the law. Anthony, hello mate.
However, you sat there quite smugly through the whole thing going, I have a trump.
That's really important as well. Listen to what he just said. This is where you know the copper's ego was dented at the pump because Brett had the audacity to argue back and tell him he was wrong. Listen.
We discussed all sorts of points of law, and I'm not going to go down that road again, as I keep saying. However, you sat there quite smugly through the whole thing.
You sat there quite smugly through the whole thing, which tells you everything you need to know about the arrest. This arrest was about the copper's ego being dented and him getting told no. This is all this was about. The copper just wanted to show up, show his little fucking chevrons on his fucking on his coat or whatever, and for Brett to fall in line. And that's what they help you do. An educated public is the police's worst fucking enemy.
I'm going, I have a trump up my sleeve. And we discussed this several times, and it was only at the point of arrest that you said, I have a letter from Tesco's. So, if you had that letter from Tesco's, why did you not present that to the manager at the petrol station?
So my question would be, I can't remember what Brett says here, but my question would be, why would I do this? Why would I present the letter that I've got from their employers, who they work for, not me, I don't work for them, who they work for, that tell me what I can and can't do at the pump? Tell me how I can and can't pay. Why would I spoon feed that to them and then have you turn up and you not do your job? You not do your due diligence and do the investigation properly and find out, why do I have to do your job and why do I have to do their job in order for you to not unlawfully arrest me? Explain that.
Way back when this all started.
Well, I don't need to go and present letters to shopkeepers as to which coins are legal tender in the UK. It's ridiculous.
Okay, so even after the point of arrest, you still chose to, you you didn't have that letter with you. Why did you choose to wait until you were in custody?
Because no one in their right minds, well, that's not correct. No one expects really that a copper is going to be so fucking pig-headed, pardon the pun, that they don't do their job properly before they arrest. An arrest is the last thing a copper should do. But it's usually the first thing a copper should do. Usually the first thing the copper does do, because they don't know anything else. They don't know how to conduct a proper investigation. They're fucking thick. They're dumb as a box of fucking frogs.
I shouldn't have to explain the legislation of UK Coinage Act to managers of Tesco's, and I shouldn't have to explain law and legislation to a police officer, which you would have thought would have known.
You can tell now that this is really pissing off Rimmer, that Brett keeps putting this back on him and saying, this is your fault, this. I mean, because of you. Because of you not knowing the law, not being willing to do an investigation, and being so overzealous as to arrest me because your fucking ego's dented.
What's lawful or not?
Okay, so when you get to the stage where you've drawn your fuel and you've offered payment and they have refused payment,
Refuse to accept payment.
Okay, refuse to accept your coins as payment.
No,
They've refused to accept that the coins that are legitimately used in this country, whether they're used every day or used once a year, they've refused payment because they just don't want to accept the coins, and they don't have a choice in what coins they accept for certain things. They don't. And if they do choose to, well, that's not technically true. They do. But it's they can't enforce anything after that when it comes to this kind of shit.
coins, they're the Royal Mint coins.
Okay. I'm not going to argue over the odd word here. Okay.
Well, you say you don't want to talk about law, and then
Right. Okay. So you've got to the situation where you have offered to make payment with your tender, as you say.
Yeah.
And the manager there has said, no, we won't accept that. We would like you to fill out this form so we can agree with payment at a later date. What did you see as the solution to that disagreement?
What an irrelevant question. So what this copper's trying to do now is point to the fact he keeps trying to do this, and it's disgusting, but he keeps trying to point to Brett knew that there would be an issue. Now, whether he did or he didn't, that's irrelevant, because there shouldn't be an issue. The only way that there would be an issue with this is if you've got someone who's thick beyond the Tesco fucking counter and a dumb as fuck copper coming along and backing him up, because they are always on the side of the corporations, these bastards. They were always trying to get you fucked over. And because Tesco's are a massive company and they've got lawyers upon lawyers upon lawyers, and if the coppers ever go against them, they'll sue. That's why the coppers always agree. And you've got to understand this as well. The majority of the UK coppers think you're a cunt. They think I'm a cunt. They think you're a cunt. They think they're above you. That's the majority of them. I can't say all, because I've not met all of them, but I think the majority of them want to treat the public like fucking cattle. And that's the problem with coppers like Rimmer.
For want of a better word.
what did I see as the solution to the disagreement?
Yes.
Well, they should accept the coins which are lawful money and coins of the realm that are already legislated by government, that they're coins of the realm, legal tender payment, fit for the purpose of paying a debt of petrol at the petrol station or any other kind of shopping if the shopkeeper was to choose to accept them.
Okay, so what did you think at that stage the outcome was going to be?
Again, this is why you've got to be really careful what you answer, because all he's doing now is he's just digging and digging and digging. He wants Brett to say, well, I knew there might be an issue, but I wanted to sort it out. And that's going to paint Brett as someone who's causing trouble, in which case this cop can then go back, have a think about it. Can we do him on a Section 50? Can we? Is there any way we can do him for antisocial behaviour and get him charged? Wanker. Absolute fucking wanker.
I don't see what that's relevant.
Because you must have had some idea sitting there as to what was likely to happen to resolve the situation. You won't work.
Well, I've explained to you earlier, actually, that I felt that you were using the threat of arrest as a means of leverage to try and get me to comply.
Love this. Love this.
With what the Tesco manager was asking, or you yourself thought was reasonable.
Really good answer.
Fill out the no means to pay for them.
That's a really good comeback. What Brett's doing here is a really good tactic. He's putting the emphasis back on the copper that arrested him and saying, well, you were trying to coerce me into complying with them, and it wasn't lawful, and there was no need for me to do that, but you wanted me to do it because you wanted an easy fucking ride. You wanted it to be that you turned up, I complied, you got a pat on the back from Tesco's, and you could fuck off and go and get some lunch. That's what the problem was here. And because I didn't do it, you chose to arrest. So this is all on you, this. And this is a really good tactic with the police. Always put the fucking emphasis back on them.
Which I don't need to do because I have got means to pay. Or you would, no, what was it? You would arrest me or come up with another payment. That was it, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so even if we're talking about before I even arrived,
yeah,
what did you see in your mind?
This is the 5th time of him asking this.
as the solution for the problem that you had there.
This is where you need your solicitor to step in and say, he's answered that. He's answered that now 4 times. It's the 5th time you've asked. He's answered it 4 times. He's not going to answer that again. Now, it depends what kind of solicitor you got. I think his solicitor here was quite good. He said, it's not Ian Gould. Ian Gould's fantastic. Ian Gould of I want to be part of Rate the Police. And it's something I'm working on, that of how to approach it. I've got a lot of stuff to do with that, by the way.
The solution to the problem I had there, that they accept the coin.
Okay, even though the manager had said he wasn't able to do that.
Well, he is able to do it. He was mistaken.
Okay, so why did you not try and help him out by providing him with the letter that we talked about?
Because you've got no obligation to tell anyone else that's working for a company that you don't work for how to do their job correctly. There's no obligation in law to do that. If someone wants to act like a fucking moron, they're going to do it, and they don't need your help to stop them from doing it.
I don't need to provide him with a letter. They should. Tesco's should explain to their staff which coins are the coins of the realm. You know, if he was ignorant to the fact that there was a £50 note because he hadn't seen one before, then is it my responsibility to kind of like to show him what they look like and then show where it's listed in the UK coins and notes act that they're legitimate payment? And if you came along and said, "Oh, I've never seen a £50 note before," is it my responsibility to demonstrate to you when you're sort of ignorant of a simple kind of you know, the coins of the realm? Is it my responsibility to teach you? And am I committing an offence by not teaching you which are the coins of the realm, which ones are the lawful coins that can be used?
All fair points, isn't it? All fair.
To pay for goods and services.
Well, I'm just thinking it would have helped you get on with your Easyyy a bit quicker if you...
Oh, right, okay. So this is the crux of the matter now. You've done this to yourself, and this is where the copper tries to a little bit slime his way out of it. Well, this is all on you, this. If you'd have paid just normally, you could have been on your way. You could have been watching TV tonight, but instead you're stuck in here with me. Well, that doesn't matter, because when you're in situations like this, you've got to think about the end game. You've got to think about the ending of this. And the ending of this, whether you've seen it or not, I don't know, but the ending of this is fantastic.
You've shown the man at the petrol station the letter, and you know, potentially if that had happened, you might not be sitting here now. You might have been on your way home and enjoying your evening, you know, as most people would want to be.
So what you're saying then is I've been arrested.
No, I've been arrested. I'm saying, why didn't...
I'm going to speak. All right,
I'm saying, why didn't you try to resolve the situation by showing him the letter? Because that would have been the easy solution, wouldn't it?
So I didn't have the letter on me, did I?
Well, you found it when we got to custody.
Yeah, I know. But you remember I said, I might have it on email.
Okay.
And then I rummaged around and found it, didn't I? But I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to find letters to say that Tesco's accepts the coins of the realm when
it's ridiculous,
established in law that they're fit for the purpose of payment. I shouldn't have to explain it to a police officer either.
Again, brilliant. Shouldn't have to explain it to you either. You shouldn't be arresting people just on a fucking whim, and just because your ego's fucking dented because you got told no for once in your fucking life.
Coins and which notes are coins of the realm, which ones are fit for payment, and you're arresting me for
Rimmers in his head. Rimmer
just because you don't understand what coins are legal coins or not. You know, it just seems ridiculous to me that I've been arrested for it. I think the good thing about it might be is that once I've been arrested once for it, then hopefully I'll never get arrested for it again. Because it will be established that it was a ridiculous and unlawful arrest.
That's true, Fred. Yeah, that's true.
So why do you choose to use these coins?
Well, because...
irrelevant. It's like saying to someone, why do you choose to use your bank card every time you go out and fucking... What the fuck's it got to do with him?
They're coins of the realm, I've got a right to use them. Is that a problem? Why do you use cash? Do you use cash?
Well, I'm just wondering why those specific coins.
Would you use cash? You don't have to. You can use
I'm not the one who's interviewing you. Why?
and you can see that Brett, when he got that answer off the copper, I'm the one who's interviewing you, because he knew he got him by the bollocks. Do you use cash? And the copper doesn't want to answer.
Why would you choose to use those specific
Brett
coins
laughing.
over
Because I'm allowed to.
a £1 coin? Even though it causes, as you are aware, because you've experienced this before, even though it causes
Because I'm
difficulty.
trying to establish that there's nothing wrong in using those coins.
Now, I would have worded that a little bit different. I mean, I'm not in the situation, of course, so maybe he was quite relaxed and he was just like riffing. I wouldn't have said, because I'm trying to make it more regular that people use these coins. I would have said everyone should know that these coins are legal tender. Everyone should, especially people working in the service industry, in the retail industry, everyone should know that you're able to use them. I wouldn't have used the term "I'm trying to," because then you're putting more emphasis on yourself when you want to push this back onto the people that have got the problem with it, which is this dickhead copper and the fucking dummy staff at Tesco's.
Okay, and how many other times have you had difficulties using the coins?
Yes, and again here, I don't know what I was going to say next, but I'd say, well, I don't know. I didn't keep count. I've had a few conversations with a few people about them, but I've not kept count. I won't be going into detail with this.
I've been through a process in the past where I've established with Tesco's that they are legitimate coins and they are okay to use.
Answer that.
And where else have you tried to use the coins?
Just Tesco.
Okay.
Irrelevant.
Why did you choose Tesco's in particular?
Well, I don't understand why. What relevance that is. Really.
Yeah, it's not relevant.
Why? Because I'm trying to ascertain where and when you choose to use these coins and why
Well,
you
they're
choose
lawful
one
coins.
place.
Yeah,
So
use
when
them
you
anyway.
say you go down to your corner shop on a Sunday morning to get your Sunday paper, why do you not use the coins there?
How do you know he doesn't? He's not stated he doesn't.
Well, I didn't say I didn't. I don't think,
But I
but
did. You just said that that's the only place you use them is Tesco's.
I have used them in other places as it goes.
Okay. So you're a kitchen fitter by trade when you're paying for the goods that you need to do.
All irrelevant now. This has got nothing to do with him bilking. This has got nothing to do with him trying to make off without payment. What Rimmer's trying to do now is make Brett look like a trouble causer, like I said at the beginning.
Your goods, you need to do your trade.
Yeah.
Why do you not pay those in £100 coins?
I can pay in it whichever means I like, can't I? If I want to pay, with £20 notes, this half the problem, isn't it? You're almost making me feel like a criminal, right, for using cash.
I'm just trying to understand how
He's trying to build a case, and if you find yourself in this kind of situation, whatever the fucking whatever the allegation is, if you find yourself in this situation where you've got one or two coppers in front of you, and they're asking you the same bastard questions over and over again, and these are very leading questions. These, just be aware of what's going on. They are not there to try and help you. If you're ever stuck in a situation like this and you've got your brief with you, stop the interview, talk to your brief about it if you're not sure of what to say.
what makes you decide to use what coins where?
Well, they're coins that are produced by the Royal Mint.
I'm
Just
not
like I use the
arguing
banknotes, just because like I use the banknotes, which are made by the Bank of England, and it's legislated that I can use those coins. They're lawful coins. I could go into a shop and they could say, we don't accept 50p's, don't like the shape of them. So they've got their right to say that, but they wouldn't be able to refuse payment of a debt for sort of a petrol
correct,
or a meal
correct.
because they don't like the shape of the coins or something ridiculous, would they? So why have I been arrested for using coins? Ridiculous.
I think he's mentioned this arrest now a few times, and every time he does it, his position gets stronger because what he's doing is he's forcing Rimmer to understand that what he's done is wrong, and now Rimmer's trying to fucking really scramble now for something to pin onto Brett. And it would be, I don't think he mentioned Section 50 here, but I think that's running through his head. I think he's thinking now, I fucked up, I shouldn't have arrested him because he's done nothing unlawful. But the only thing I can get him on maybe is if I can get him to admit he went there specifically for an issue, maybe I can get him on a Section 50.
I mean, surely you must think it's ridiculous. Now? No?
the silence is golden as well. This Brett's just said, I'm sure you think now it's ridiculous, and now you can see in the top right hand corner, Rimmer's just writing things down. He can hear everything he's fucking saying. He's just choosing to ignore it. Now, while Rimmer is thinking, because that's all he's doing now, he's pretending to write shit down, but he's thinking, what can I say now? If this is you in this situation, you should shut the fuck up. You should not be the first one to talk here.
I'm absolutely staggered that you think that there might be a court case for me using using the coins that with the Royal Mint with the Queen's head on them in the country's biggest retailer, and you think that's a reasonable reason to arrest me and see if you can find an angle of which you can prosecute me.
I mean, that's a good statement to come out with. Really good statement to come out with. But if you're unsure, in that situation where you know you've got the copper on the ropes, shut the fuck up. That's just me saying that. I think that's a really good comment from Brett there.
As if I'm doing something wrong, when clearly I'm not doing anything wrong at all.
That's true, Joseph.
Okay, so
what do you think I've done wrong then?
This is really good. This is textbook how you deal with these kinds of coppers. What do you think I've done wrong then? Tell me what you think I've done wrong and where your evidence is for that. Oh, we're the ones asking the questions. No, tell me what you think, and just keep repeating yourself.
I'm asking the questions. We've already established this.
No, we've not established nothing. This is not a one-way interview, and you need to understand that when you can ask any questions you want within the interview. It's not a one-way fucking street, this. You know exactly why you're there in a police interview. It's for them to try and get you into trouble. That's it. This is not for you to get off. This is not for you to get out of that place as fast as you can. They want to prosecute. And if you cooperate with this kind of shit, you're crazy. You ask them as many questions as you want. Whether they choose to answer, that's okay. But it's all on record. Because if it does go to court and you have a solicitor with you, they will say, when this is played, when the interview is played, well, my client asked you, what do you think he did wrong? And you just said, we're asking the questions. If I'm a member of the jury listening to a court case and I hear that, I'm going to think, yeah, I mean, that's a legitimate question from the person who's being accused of something, and it could be something terrible. That's a legitimate question, and the copper just said, I'm the one asking the questions. The credibility of that copper is going to go down the fucking pan, innit?
No, not really. Am I allowed to ask questions?
No.
I've just asked a question then, though, didn't I?
Well done.
So fucking, I don't know if you heard that, but he said, am I allowed to ask questions? And the copper said, no. Fucking dumb cunt. And then Brett said, but I just asked a question, and he said no.
Yeah, you got one over on me. Okay, so tell me where you got the coins from.
Irrelevant again.
I don't need to tell you where I get the coins from.
Why don't you want to tell me that?
It's not that he doesn't want to tell you. There's no need to tell you. What's the lawful need for him to tell you where he gets the coins from?
Because
Well, the route. Well, I remember what happened here. The route that this copper's going to go down here is such a fucking stupid route. It's unbelievable.
no, I don't have to tell you where I get the coins from. I don't need to tell you where I get my £20 notes from, my £50 notes from, or anything, because it's not unlawful to use cash.
Okay. How many of the coins do you have?
Well, I don't need to answer that question either, because it's private. Let me tell you how much money I've got or haven't got or whatever.
Seems that way, Joe. You know.
They're not legal, are these coins? They're not unlawful in some way, these coins, are they?
How much did you pay for the coin?
That's irrelevant as well.
And this is the point. This is I think he had a backup plan, this copper, and his backup plan was, well, I'll let him explain.
That's like, how much did you pay for a £50 note? What sort of question is that?
Yeah, Stuart.
it's already been established by another police officer that that the coins are authentic.
Yes, MJ. Yeah. Listen to what he comes out with. It's fucking. For those who have not seen this, fucking unbelievable.
Now, sorry if I sound annoyed, but it's pretty
Never do that. Never ever apologise. Never ever
annoying
ever.
and ridiculous.
Any situation with the coppers, you never ever say you're sorry. Ever. They will use that against you. Narcissists love the word sorry said to them. They fucking love it because they will bring it back up and they will use it against you.
Right, shall I tell you what I think?
Go for it.
Okay, so what I think is that you think when you go onto the forecourt and fill up with fuel,
Yeah.
you think you're on a win-win situation.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you are going into a situation where you are taking the goods, as in they're in your petrol tank, and you
Lawfully.
know that fuel can't.
You see, I would interrupt here. When he's saying these things, I would say, after everything he says, I'd say lawfully. And if he says, stop interrupting me, I'll say, no. Everything that you're stating now, when I add on to the end of it, lawfully. And if you think it's unlawful, tell me why.
Be taken back out of your petrol tank. Okay? And you are then looking to push the retailer into a corner whereby either they accept the coin or you drive off into the sunset.
Lawfully.
Okay? And here's where it's a win-win for you. Because those coins are freely available for less than £100. So, for example, before coming into this interview, I've sat on the internet. They are commemorative coins. They are legal tender. I'm not arguing with that with you. But I can go and click on eBay right here in this station and buy one of those coins for £90. So you can then buy these coins at less than their face value. You can drive onto the petrol forecourt. You can say, right, I've got my £60 worth of fuel. Give me my £40 change. And you know that, and you are quids in. And that is dishonest.
And
So
that's dishonest. This should be the staple video for anyone to watch when you're dealing with the police in an interview situation. He's just called him dishonest for doing absolutely nothing wrong. If you can buy a £20 note off eBay and pay a £5 for it, which is for anyone to be able to sell for a £5 and for anyone to be able to buy for a £5, totally lawful. You would be well within your rights to do it, and they would be well within their rights to sell it for that. Nothing unlawful. You're making money. That's called a capitalism. That's the beauty of you couldn't do that in a socialist country. Oh no. You couldn't do that in a socialist country. The lefties would hate it. Even though they love something for nothing, them cunts. But in this situation, Rimmer is trying to make out he's doing something fraudulent when he's not. And this is where you know the coppers are thick bastards.
The way the situation might pan out. Hang on, no. The other way the situation might pan out is that you drive in, you say, right, I've got this coin, I'm not paying with anything else. And eventually the retailer goes, do you know what? I've had enough of the argument. I can't be dealing with this. You're refusing to give the details. The police aren't interested.
Yeah.
Drive off into the sunset. So what?
All lawful. My question would be when he's stopped talking this bollocks would be, tell me anything within what you've just said that's unlawful.
One way or the other, you are a win. And you know that at the point that you are doing this. And the reason that you choose to do this on goods that are already in the tank is because you know if you go to your kitchen supplier and try and pay for your units, for your kitchen units with these coins, he'll tell you where to go and you'll come out empty-handed.
Hearsay, and he's making things up. He doesn't know that for a fact at all. I could own a kitchen fucking unit place and Brett could come and fucking pay him £100 coins and this copper wouldn't fucking know about that. Of course he wouldn't. Maybe I like £100 coins and I want to get paid in them. You're freely able to get paid however you fucking want. This Rimmer, I'll remind you, is a fucking sergeant. He's gone from zero PC to sergeant, someone who's supposed to know what they're fucking doing. Dumb cunt.
And that is where you're dishonest, and that is why you do.
Dishonest. I would say to this copper in this interview, I'd say be very careful what you're saying because you're being recorded now. You're calling me dishonest for being able to buy coins of the realm, legal coinage for less than its face value, and that's dishonest. You stupid bastard. How do you think currencies work in the world? They're on the stock exchange, you fucking idiot.
Because you know that you are going to profit in a dishonest way from these transactions.
Well, I think that's slanderous, to be honest.
It's not slanderous. That's what I think.
Because there's nothing
That's why we
dishonest
are here
about
having the conversation.
No, just to answer the question. Your position is, I think you just suggested, is there is no
dishonesty whatsoever. And I've always paid for my fuel. I've not ever.
If you notice now, and I think this solicitor jumps in at the right point here, and he's now more interested, I think, this solicitor, because he's listening to what this copper's saying, and I don't think he can quite believe what he's coming out with.
For once, driven off without paying. Every single time I've always paid. Yeah, this is the only occasion that I haven't yet paid so far, and I've got every intention of paying as well.
Right.
So there's no dishonesty at all. Whether or not I buy them at less than the face value, that's not illegal, and that's not dishonest. Are you suggesting it's dishonest to make a profit?
You're trying to pass it off at a coin at a different value.
No, he's not. He's not trying to pass it off as anything of a different value. It's got a face value of £100. It's got a face value of 10 grand. It doesn't matter. If the coin has got a face value and that's what it's been signed off at the Bank of England, at the fucking Royal Mint, that's what it's worth, face value. It doesn't mean someone's had to pay £200 for a coin. You could have bought it for £1.
You're trying to hoodwink the retailer.
But if the bottom line is, and I think this is common ground, that it's legal tender. It's legal tender.
Yeah.
So you
But
can't.
that doesn't mean its value is what it says on it.
Yes, it does. That's what legal tender is, you stupid bastard. You thick cunt.
Anyway, is there anything else that you want to say in relation to this?
He knows he's gone wrong here. He knows he's gone wrong. It is gaslighting audit, Gout. It is.
Yeah, because I want to reply to what you've just said then.
Go on then.
So, if somebody was selling a £50 note on or £20 note on eBay or wherever, and they were selling it £40 for whatever reason, right? And it was a genuine coin or genuine note, right? Is that dishonest to buy that note and then to go shopping with it? Are you saying it's dishonest to make a profit? Is this why I've been arrested, because I'm making a profit?
So you admit that that's what you're doing, and in doing this, you know that that's what you're doing.
That isn't the
He didn't
reason.
say that at all. He didn't say that at all. And this is why you've got to be careful how you word stuff. And what he's trying to do is now he's trying to elicit a response from Brett, because Brett's now annoyed. Quite rightly so, he's annoyed. You know, you're calling me fucking dishonest now. And don't let your emotions get you like that. Your feelings about what's going on have got to be flat. You've got to be really flat with this. Just look at the fact of what's going on. It's really easy for me to say, of course. I'm not in the situation. But you've got to look at the fact of what's going on and say, look, I'm not dishonest here. The analogy I've just given you is correct. If I buy a £20 note for £10 and I spend it as a £20 note, am I being dishonest by doing that?
Why I'm doing it to make a profit. The reason why I'm doing it is because I feel I've got a right to do it. They're coins that are made by the Royal Mint, and the legislation is there that that where a debt is owed, they're legitimate for paying the debt. They are coins around the legal tender, and that is the definition of legal tender.
Just so I'm clear, the common ground here is that it's legal tender, and it says £100. So the
Right.
is that it's worth the tender is the value that it has on the coin.
In fact, you know, they're worth like a £20 note is made of plastic, and it's probably worth, how much is it worth in plastic? It's worth absolutely nothing in plastic. Okay, whereas that coin is actually worth nearly £50 in silver.
And I suppose the bottom line, I don't want to get into legal line, but the bottom line is, if I go abroad and I cash sterling in for euros, I don't always get the full
You get fucking less.
value, because some companies will charge a transaction fee. So legal tender isn't what it says on the face of it, and they have a fluctuating value.
Is there anything else you want to add to what you said?
What we mean before we finish up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's an unlawful arrest, and I felt pretty hard done by, really. And I think that
I agree, Brett.
that it should be established that it's not unlawful to use those coins, and that you shouldn't be getting arrested for using those coins when they're made by the wrong men. Why do you think it's legal to use those coins?
Is there anything else? Is there anything you think I've
You've misunderstood everything. You've not answered the question.
misunderstood about what you said so
I think
far?
you misunderstood. Well, I think if you're still thinking that I've done something wrong, I think you've misunderstood what I've said. I haven't done anything wrong.
As I've explained to you at the start of the interview, I'm simply here to collect the evidence, which I have done. I've given you lots of opportunities to give your side of the story, so thank you very much for that.
You said I'm dishonest, didn't you?
I've said what I think. But
What do you
that
think I'm
doesn't-
dishonest with?
I've said that's what I think, but I've not said that that's what the person reviewing this interview will think when they make a decision as to any other further action.
But I don't
A disgusting copper. A copper that you know. I've got this fucking theory that coppers are coppers before they're even in a uniform. Police are police before they even get to the uniform. They are the kind of people that you don't want to fucking be around. This guy is just thoroughly fucking unpleasant. And it's interesting, this, because when I've thought about coppers in the past, well, the limited stuff I've thought about coppers, because my old life was my old life, and police were just a fucking a hazard in my old life. But like, I never really thought about them. I never really thought the way they worked. I knew that they were fucking lying bastards, but you know, it was a bit of a cat and mouse game. The crew I was with was, I'm not going to go into it, but I didn't really think about them. Now I do. Now I'm in a different like environment and a different mindset. The way I think about the police now is that they are coppers before they're coppers. Before they join, they're coppers. They're people that you can't fucking trust. They're people that are just fucking, essentially, the majority, I can't say all, but I can say the majority of really unpleasant people.
I think it's right that you're serving as a police officer.
Yeah.
If you think it's dishonest for somebody to use cash to pay for goods and services.
Is there anything else? That you
It could just say he is entitled to challenge your account.
Yeah, I don't mind that, but I just find it baffling, right? Because
What the solicitor just said there, what the brief just said, he said he's entitled to challenge your account of what you say happened, which is completely correct. But Brett is also entitled to say, I don't like the fact you're calling me dishonest. You know, while you're sat there in a police uniform covering for your mates every day, you're at work. So I will guarantee you now, this copper has seen some stuff that he should have reported and he never has done. I'll guarantee you now that this copper has lied on duty. Guarantee you.
the other police officers I've met, right, haven't thought it was worthy of arrest. And
Not
I
true,
find
James.
that I don't understand why you think it is grounds to arrest someone for using cash.
Okay, as I said, I'm not going to discuss that with you.
No,
Right,
because you
okay.
can't.
Anything else?
Well, I'm happy.
Covered everything else? Okay. We talked earlier at the start of the interview about a notice that I need to give you at the end. I will fill.
You can take that one.
Okay.
I'll give you
Right. I will stop the machine in a moment and fill this out for you, so you've got all the information.
Whilst we're on tape, can you tell me whether I'm going to have my cash back?
Not tonight, no.
What are you going to do with my cash?
I seized it as an exhibit in relation to this investigation. So until this
An investigation for
is
using
resolved, you won't be able to have
What
it.
a thick
Well, I
one.
need a receipt for that then, please.
I don't have to give you a receipt for it.
So
That's
you can
true.
steal my money.
Humblebee.
No,
Never would
I've
now,
taken
would
it as
you?
an exhibit.
You say that I'm being dishonest. You've taken my
Well, I
money,
haven't stolen it. I've taken it as an exhibit.
but you haven't given me a receipt for it, though, have you?
No, it's on the custody record that it's been seized. So, like I said,
Say something that happened a few years back, about 10 years ago. One of my mates got arrested early hours of the morning, and his mom rang me up and she said, Ben's been arrested. I said, all right, okay. Where's he at? Local cop shop. So I went down, and I knew that if he'd been arrested, he was going to get remanded because he'd been in and out of prison. And so I went down thinking he didn't have any money. So I took I've took 50 quid down to give to the desk sergeant, to give to him. Now, you get a receipt, because I went down and said that he's this guy there. And he said, yeah. I said, what's going to happen? Are you releasing him or what? He said, well, most likely he's going to be remanded. Because there was after him, he'd smashed up a lot of fucking cars. He went fucking ape shit. He smashed up a lot of cars. And they found him in they found him in the loft space, the attic space of a pub. Fucking hell, he was trying to fight all the coppers. But by the by, but I left 50 quid, and I rang his mum and said, look, I've given him some money, so at least when he goes into prison, he's got some money to like sort himself out a little bit, get him some like toothpaste and stuff like that. So the first visiting thing, when I went to visit him, and I've got a receipt for it, I've got this 50 quid receipt for it. The first visiting order that we got, me and my mate got to go and visit him. He said to me they'd only give him 20 quid. They'd only give him 20. And the 30 quid had gone somewhere. He didn't get the 30 quid. Well, he didn't get the 50, he got 20 out of it. And I thought, you fucking bastards. I didn't chase it up. I couldn't be fucking arsed. I thought, you thieving cunts. Bad, innit?
Copy the custody record, and that will show as evidence that they have it. That will be a record. That is a record.
Did they book you in as Brett as your first name, just so we get the right information on this? Yeah. Okay.
So how do you intend to give me that back then?
Sorry, I'm just going to stop the interview. Okay, so the time is 21:07.
Why can't you say that on tape?
Well, I can do if you want.
When do you intend? What do you intend to do with?
Well,
my
as
money?
you know, last time your money was seized, and once the officer had concluded his investigation, he gave it back to you.
So you're going to do the same, yeah?
Yep.
So do you think that's good use of public money?
I'm not here to discuss that with you.
They're disgusting. They're disgusting. Can anyone remember how much he got for this? No, it's not recent. Well, I think 2020 there, look, on the bottom. I can't remember how much he got for this. He did end up suing Rimmer's chief inspector. I think it might have been $5,000. It might have been $8,000. I think it was $5,000. I think. So we got £5,000 for this. For being able to fucking make this fucking prick look what he is, a fucking prick. I remember it being £5,000 there. I guarantee you now, this Rimmer, he'll be an inspector. Guarantee you now, he'll be an inspector. It's, what was his 2020? Ian Gold, yeah. Ian Gold represented him, didn't he? Really good solicitor. What do you do with that, though? What do you do with that? It's fucking unbelievable, isn't it? I've been on for 2 hours, nearly 10 minutes. Fred was only worth $4,000. It was only worth $4,000 face value. Fucking hell. He should have got Rimmer's yearly wage, and Rimmer should have paid it. Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, ratethepolice.com. Please go to it. Please register your support. If you see the stuff that I put something on today about like all the stuff that I've had to go through with it. Or I've got like an index thing that I've gone through, and I spend about 5 or 6 hours a week on it. Now that might not sound a lot. I know it doesn't sound a lot, but I work full time, and when I'm not working, I'll spend more time on it. But it's been about a year, just over a year, that this has been in the planning stage and the pipe work, and we've got things in place already that can go on there, but there's other stuff that needs to be sorted out first before we even do it. I've got a friend that's doing the back end of it as well, the platform itself, which is no mean feat. It takes time, this. There was a fucking knobhead that's got a little channel that was moaning about, oh, there's some fucking lads in America 12 years ago did this, and that it didn't cost anything. Moaned about the fact that I did a GoFundMe for it, and he called it a scam that I'd done a GoFundMe for, and it's never going to happen this site, even though the fucking site footprint is there. I mean, you couldn't make this fucking stupidity up. This is coming from like the same guy that is dodging tax, in my opinion. He's got a fucking t-shirt business. He's asking people to send him bank transfers because the payment portal's down. Fucking hell, he thinks everyone's thick. If anything's a fucking scam, that is. But by the by, he's got no fucking money, bless him. But yeah, if you can go to my, well, it's not my site, it's our site, writethepolice.com, register your support by just putting your email address in. It's really important. We want to try and get about 1,000 on there, at least. We've got about 120, maybe 130 on there at the minute. I just want you to do that. That it's free. You don't have to do anything with it. It will have minus values. Yeah, I think it will, Fred. Vanda, did you see the Ashley Neal video I posted to you? No, I'm sorry, no. I've not seen it. Will you tag me in it, please? Compensation should be worked out on the total filings of the yeah, totally. This is something that I've been working on as well within this Write the Police, of things we can approach in the next year. We're going to work on it's not. This is the thing with Write the Police. It's not just Write the Police. If it was, it'd be a bit easier to sort out in a better timeline. I'm trying to put projects together with it. So there's going to be like 3 projects within a year, each year that Write the Police is around as a full platform. And one of the projects is trying to get the police to accept that individual constables need their own insurance, in which case they would be less likely to try and break the fucking law themselves. I don't know how we're going to do that. I don't know how the framework's going to be for that. It's going to be a whole new fucking animal. But that's one of the things that we've got an idea of, and that's being looked into as well. Dave, are you referring to a certain little person? I am actually, Dave. Yeah. Yeah. Stick a link in the chat. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Can you do it from here? Right. The police.com. It's just that, writethepolice.com. Go to it, put your email address in. I think there's a questionnaire with it. All of your details are safe. My friend's got a company that it's going through that, the GDPR stuff. You don't get any spam emails. You don't get any nonsense. It's all that shit. It's all covered. And this is another thing we've had to go through. We've had to jump through hoops with that shit. Over the last, say, 6 months, I've had to jump through hoops with that. Backwards and forwards with emails to the ICO. Sorry, the information. Yeah, ICO, Information Commissioner's Office. I must have rang them and emailed them fucking hundreds of times now just to get correct. Because when you're speaking to these people that are in official capacities and you need the information, it's never quick. It's never, oh, yeah, this is what you need. And they say, we'll get back to you. And then a month later, you'll get an email saying, what was it you wanted again? And you couldn't make it up. And you can't put something like this together without going through the fucking necessary processes to do it, if that makes sense. And I'm not prepared to do all that work. And my mate's not going to do all that work for free out of our own time. But then within a month's time, the police come along and say, we think you're putting constables at risk here, giving details and doing this, doing that. We're not having that. So we're going to make it so that this is covered. We've got some armour there, if you know what I mean. It's not working for me. I'm not sure. If you put it in the search bar or Google, it should come up. Ratethepolice.com should come up. So yeah. Anyway, what's the time? 2 hours. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got a little bit of something from it. If not, just a bit of entertainment watching Brett tear the fucking police apart, which is great. Ashley's a driving instructor. The title is called GBP. Mogul turn mistake. Then he blamed me. That don't fucking surprise me. So yeah, thanks for joining me. Carry good night, everyone. Good night. I'll have a look at that audit in New Zealand, mate. I'll have a look. I'm a bit tired now. I'm off to bed. Have a good one, guys. See you in a bit.